All right, welcome to Entrepreneurs Visiting Victor. I'm your host, Victor Dadaj. I hope you're having an amazing day so far. Today we have an amazing guest today from the UK. He is a public speaker. He is a network marketing leader. He is an entrepreneur, ex-professional networker, and he has been featured on BFH X Speaker. This guy I've heard speak a lot. He has a lot of credible wisdom and knowledge, and I know you're going to get a lot of value out of him. And to make sure to take notes because he's going to give you a lot of great stuff. So let's welcome my friend Elceid Ata. How you doing today, bro?
Hey, Victor, I am awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to have you here. So I'm looking forward to, just hearing about your story and all your wisdom that you're going to share with us. So I'd like to start off. Can you please share your story, how you got started working online, working as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to first, appreciate you for extending an invitation for me to be on. I know me and you were able to connect through Clubhouse, and it's a great friendship that we're building. And anytime, the man that I've heard you, you've always provided great value and you've always brought great energy to any of the rooms that we've been in together. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Elceid Ata. I'm 24 years old. I got started out in my first ever business, Victor, at the age of 18. It was the business of network marketing. And I was at a point in my life where I had just dropped out of university and coming from an Asian background that didn't go so well with my family. And, I had to go out there and make a living. I had to go out there and make some money so I could support my, my living needs. And I dropped out of university at a young age of 18. And I spent about 2 years in university. I got a lot of credits, but I never got a degree. And what happened with me was, after I dropped out, I went into the corporate world. I actually went and started working in central London in an office, working as a junior commodity broker. Did that for about 8 months. And Victor, whenever you enter something new into your life, whether it's a business, whether it's a job, whether it's a new relationship, I would say about the first 60 to 90 days is like the honeymoon stage, where you're only ever exposed to the positive sides of those things. So in the first 60 to 90 days, I very thoroughly enjoyed my corporate job because of the money that it was bringing in. But what happened was, later down the line, I got very sick and tired of just being sick and tired. Every single day was the same. Wake up at 6, get to work at 8, come back home by midnight because I'd finish at work at 10, and it's about an hour and a half, 2 hour commute back home. And I became sick and tired. And my Monday to Fridays were like my zombie days. There was no passion, there was no energy, there was nothing interesting going on in my life. And I said, is this really what life is gonna be like for the next 40 years? And what happened was, August of 2014, I got introduced to network marketing. I went to a home event. The home event was maybe like 8 to 10 people. I was the kid at the back of the room with my arms crossed, had no real interest in the first hour of the presentation. It was a complete no for me. They were talking about leadership. They were talking about company. They were talking about the products and the services. And I was like, all right, that sounds all right, but it's just not for me. But right at the end of that meeting, man, I had still had somewhat of an open mind towards the end of that meeting. They played one video. That video was 5 minutes long. I only needed to hear 10 seconds of that video. And in that video, they said, through this business, you can have 6 Saturdays and 1 Sunday. And I said, well, I don't like my Mondays to Fridays. And the light bulb went off. And I said, I don't care what I got to do. I don't really understand this thing. I don't really understand these energy drinks. But if you say I can have 6 Saturdays and 1 Sunday, it's a done deal for me. And we got involved, man. My first 3.5 years in the industry were a battle. My cumulative income never even exceeded $3,500 in those first 3.5 years. Highest paycheck that I had in those first 3.5 years, with not one paycheck was more than $350. So if you really look at it from a financial standpoint, people would say like, hey, your first 3.5 years in this industry was a complete failure. And I say to people, maybe from a financial standpoint, 100%, it was a complete failure. But those first 3.5 years, I was so blessed and fortunate enough to be committed enough to get myself in the right environments, with the right people, with the right associations, to be able to be fed the right information that was helping me grow as a leader and as a person. So then when my breakthrough moment came, Victor, although in those first 3.5 years I didn't make any money, but the lessons and what I learned in those first 3.5 years was priceless. So when my breakthrough came, I knew how to do events. I knew how to, create somewhat of a culture within my organization. When I finally was able to have a team, I knew that I had to continuously invest in myself into personal development, getting books, surrounding myself with the right environments, going to the events all the time. So, that's really what my story is, man. And once we had that breakthrough moment over the last couple of years, I've been able to go to 24 different countries, 26 different cities. We've built very large organizations in so many different countries. But the key thing I can tell people is, if you're an entrepreneur, or no matter what you do in life, more than the income, more than the materialistic side of things, the person that you become is really the most worthwhile thing. That's going to be your biggest success. The person that you become, the leader that you develop into. So that's really a little bit of my story. I know I went a little bit too deep into it, but hopefully it provided some value.
No, absolutely. No, we love to hear people's entire stories because it can inspire people. Because here's the thing, there are a lot of people right now, they're getting started in network marketing. A lot of them are struggling. They don't see light at the end of the tunnel. And they say, well, I've been doing this for 6 months. I don't have much success. I don't think I can ever do it. And then you share your story. You struggled for 3.5 years. Your biggest paycheck was never more than $350. And what did you say, man, $3,500 altogether in those 3 years?
Yeah.
So you didn't make a whole lot of money, but you were building the foundation. You work on your personal development. You were meeting with successful people. You surround yourself with successful. You were building that strong foundation, and the compound effect over the long period of time kicks in. And as you develop yourself, you became that strong person, that leader that could really help people out. After those 3.5 years, everything took off. So a lot of people I think a lot of people walk into this industry saying, I'm going to be a millionaire my first month. That never happens. You really need to pay the price, but you build that foundation. It reminds me of that story of the bamboo tree. It spends 4 to 5 years being cultured, taken care of, nurtured, watered, but it doesn't grow. It's underneath the ground for 4 to 5 years. And then in the 5th year, in the span of 2 to 3 months, it grows 90 feet. It didn't grow 90 feet in those 2 or 3 months. It took 4 to 5 years. And the same thing happened with you. Over the course of the last couple of years, you've had a lot of tremendous success. You've been to 24 different countries. You've been to 26 different cities. But that didn't come over those 2 years. That took those previous 3.5 years of you working on yourself, putting in the time and the effort, doing the personal development, meeting a lot of successful people, going to these events. In fact, I remember you talked about this event. I hope you could talk about this. I think it was in Amsterdam, where you did everything you can to get there. You had trouble affording it. So I'd like you to share that as well, because I think this can inspire people saying, I don't really have a lot of money, but you didn't have a lot of money at the time either, but you still found a way to get to that event. And that event, I think, changed your life.
Yeah, it was really on it was 2017, April. So just 3.5 years. It's so funny. Everything's 3.5 years. Everyone's got that number 3.5 into it. But, it was 3.5 years into my career. And I just mentioned, I wasn't having big success financially. And up to that point, man, it was like a real battle. It was a war zone for me in the industry. And my parents were calling me crazy. My family didn't really support in the industry of network marketing. It was just, nobody was like supporting me. I had a relationship at the time that I had to let go because it became toxic. And before that event, man, I was I'm a very red color personality type of individual. I'm very blunt. I'm very straightforward. And if our paths don't align up to that point, it was like you were gonna get blocked. You were gonna get unfollowed. And what happened was, I remember being at an event. I remember being at a company event, and they told me about this European regional. It's a European Congress, different companies, different leaders, all making 6 figures, 7 figures, yearly. And I was like, well, I want to make 6 figures. I want to make 7 figures. Well, I gotta be there. And I look at my bank account, it's less than $250 left in my bank account. So I'm like, well, this is a problem. I could, so I remember being at that event, and I look around me. I have no team members, so I can't get my team to come with me. I go at this event, and I'm asking people in cross-lines, in different organizations that I don't even know. And what happened was, 2 people that were my friends from high school were in the same company as me, but they weren't in my team. I asked them, and they said, yes, we're down to go, but you have to pay for the fuel, you have to pay for the ferry, and that was the deal. And I was like, well, how much is the ferry gonna be? How much is the fuel gonna be? And that event probably came up to like $500. We slept in the car in those 2-3 days that we was in Amsterdam. And what happened, man, was the first 2 days I was able to have one meal a day. The very last day, I had no money to buy myself a drink or a meal. It was that's how bad my situation was. But that last day of the event, I got a chance to speak to a gentleman by the name of Tom Chanel. He got on stage and he was talking about how the number one key thing that he's done is build relationships. And I'm like, huh? Build relationships? I thought he was meant to build sales. Like I didn't hear that type of verbiage before. And I met him in the lobby, and this conversation probably was maybe 5 minutes long. I said, hey, Tom, I know I heard you on the stage, but I just want to ask you personally, man to man, what is your secret? You're making 7 figures a year, multiple 7 figures a year, number one earner in your company. What is your secret to having success in this industry? He said, I love people like nobody else does. I care about them more than anybody else in their life does. I remember them, more than anybody else does. And I said, that's your secret? He goes, yes. Well, then I said, and then I made it my personal mission, man, that if I was going to be a friend in your life, you wouldn't have another friend that outfriends me. And I started giving to people, and I started pouring into people, and now just having that impression of increase. It's in the book of Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. Just developing that impression of increase on anybody's life that I met, whether it was virtually, whether it was physically, whether it was through somebody else. And I didn't even care no more if it benefited my paycheck or my business or not. I was going to give you an impression of increase. And I knew that if I did that, and I started studying the law of vibration, law of attraction, I knew if I did that, the universe would then go and conspire to give me tenfold what I gave out. But I didn't give with an expectation of that, hey, I'm going to receive something from you. I gave through the pureness of heart that I care about you. I love you as a person. And here, I'm just going to give to you because it's a law. And just like how the law of gravity is real, the law of, the law of giving is real as well. Whatever you give out, it's karma. Some people call it karma. Whatever you give out, you get back.
Now that is awesome, because I know from watching in all these rooms, you give all the time, and you don't have any sort of expectation. People asking questions, how do I do this? I'm showing my business, and you'll give them some advice. You'll share some knowledge with them, and you do it all the time. You're just giving it because you want to give, you want to share, you want to help these people. And I know there's no agenda there. You just freely give up because you truly want to help people. And I know from that conversation I had with Tom, 4 years ago, it made a difference in your life. And as many of you know, Tom Janot is a legend in the network marketing industry, and he's probably the king of relationships. There's no one better at building relationships, building friendships, loving on people than Tom Janot. So it shows you the value. Elceid was struggling. He had pretty much no money, but he was resourceful. Here's the thing. A lot of times it's not a lack of resources, because he did not have those resources, but he had resourcefulness. If you can have resources, he got 2 buddies. They got together. They split money. They didn't have money for hotel room. They slept in the car for those 3 days. But going to that event changed his life. So you never know. That's one of the powers. That's the power of going to events. A 5-minute conversation with Tom Chanel changed this guy's life. He focused on building relationships, loving on people, increase, giving them value, helping them out any way they can without any expectation, with no ulterior motives. And as a result, the last 4 years, his life has totally changed. He's been this big success. And who knows, things may never change for you if you had not gone to that event. But because you did everything you could to get to that event, you were resourceful, you got together with 2 friends, you guys came up with the money, but obviously you could have stayed at the hotel room, but you guys slept in the car. You still made it to that event, and that event changed your life. So it's very powerful. When you really want something badly, you will find a way. And that's what you did, bro. And you did that. Now, because of that, you have the success. And it's a credit to yourself, because you did everything you could to make sure you got to the event. And a 5-minute talk changed your life. So that's the thing. You never know. A 5-minute talk with any top leader can change your life. I've spoken to other people, and they said a 15-minute conversation at this event made me change my focus. And because of that, my business doubled, tripled, quadrupled. So, because a lot of times you'll hear things at these events they won't share in a webinar, but you have a little talk with them.
Yeah.
So that I think I think a lot of people find your story inspirational. They say, "Wow, if he can do it, I could do it too. I'm struggling as well, but look where he is right now." They can be where you are right now if they're willing to put in the time, the effort, they're willing to pay the price, find any way they can to go to the event. So I think that's
Yeah,
really
and
wonderful.
I'll add on here to that story. You know, Tom Schnapp was my first exposure to building relationships because from a personal standpoint, I had people say, I had heard people say it on stage, but stage talk and actual living it out is two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll hear a lot on stage that a lot of the speakers don't really live. It's just stage talk to impress people, you know, to get the claps and to get the screams. But Tom Schnapp was that first exposure personal. Then when I met, but because I was continuously, you know, going to the events and intentionally building relationships with people that are 7-figure earners, 8-figure earners, you know, 9-figure earners, you know, I had a constant reinforcement that building relationships is the key to long-term success. You know, Tom Schnapp was that first. Then I met my mentor, right? My current mentor, he'll be my mentor for life, Mr. David Imanite, right? You know, when I met him, the number one key thing that I learned from him, Victor, was how he treated his leaders, how he treated the whole company, people that weren't in his team, because you know, he was helping me when I wasn't in his group, when there was no financial benefit to him. You know, even to this day, you know, I met him in 2018 February. It's 2021 now, 3 years now. He's been 3.5 years now that he's been helped. So that's 3 years, 3 years, 3 years now. He's coached me, mentored me, and I've never ever benefited him financially. Then I met another gentleman, and they just did the same thing. And this is why it's so important to be observant of the successful leaders in your company, in your industry, or whatever it is that you do. Because when you start just looking at how, you know, what they do, and like the what is like the presentations, the what is the sales, the what is the prospecting, the personal development, and you start to really look into how they think and their thought processes and how they do things, that's really the difference. That's really the difference maker in anything that you do. What you do is about 20% that contributes to your success, but how you do it is the 80% contributor of what's going to make your success. Because you know, you have people that, you know, that do make sales, that do, you know, do the prospecting. Everybody, if you're in network marketing or in sales, you're always going to be prospecting, presenting, and promoting. But how you do it and the relationships that you're able to cultivate through time and the value that you bring into people's lives will make the difference maker in how high your ratio of conversion is in your prospecting, presenting, and promoting. You know, so when I saw David Imanite do it, when I saw another gentleman, you know, his former mentor, Holton Bucks, you know, you talk about relationships, it was because I was intentionally building those relationships. I was placing myself in environments. I was messaging them on Facebook, messaging them on Instagram, going to their events when they didn't even know me. And then what happened was I had put some type of vibration energy up into the universe, and then the universe brought them into my life. So you got to go and constantly reinforce your belief that what you're being taught works. And how do I do that? You place yourself in the right environments. You see it through people in other people's lives that to prove that it's working for them. And then you gotta go and test it out yourself. Go and apply that information. Go and apply what you've learned from those top leaders. Because, you know, I could have taken that information 2017, 2018 with David, 2019 with Holton Bucks. But then if I didn't put it into my life, into building relationships with people, caring about people, giving to people, and actually, just giving without any intention of expectation, then maybe things would have never changed. Maybe I wouldn't have the network that I have right now. Maybe that I wouldn't have the business that I have right now. Maybe that I would have not become the leader that I've become right now. So it's so important that when you learn something, you go and place yourself in those environments, you build those associations to reinforce those belief systems of what you've just been taught.
No, absolutely. That's some golden stuff there. Because number one, success leaves clues.
Yeah.
You observe what all the top leaders were doing, and not just what they did, but how they did it. And you try to learn as much as possible. And you put yourself in that environment. You reach out to them. You even went to events where they weren't even sure that you were there, but you showed up anyway. You just put yourself in that environment. And you know what? After a while, people started recognizing. And at the end, you applied it. That's the big thing a lot of people don't do. They learn a lot of stuff. They take notes, whether it's on a webinar or Zoom, whatever, and they're learning and they're writing down all these things. And a lot of times they don't take action on it. So they don't know if it works or not. These people are teaching you these things. yes, these 8, 7, 8, 9 figure earners, it works for them, but it's only going to work for you if you take action on it. So that's what you did. You took action, and as a result, you became successful. You developed these relationships. And I can tell you, because when I watch you on Clubhouse, I see you're giving to everyone, whether they just got started out or whether they're a 7, 8 figure earner. And that's why, like you had your own call about a month ago. You had a lot of top leaders on that call because you built relationships with these people, and you were just giving to them. There was no ulterior motive. You were just there serving them, helping them. And that's the thing. If you reach out to these successful people, a lot of people focus on what can I get out of them, but you focus on what can I give to them. And that's the difference when you want to build a relationship with a 7, 8, 9 figure earner. They notice when you want to give them, because there are people reaching out to them all the time saying, oh, can you do this? Can you help me out with my business? You want to join my business? You want to do this and this? They're getting pitched all the time. But when you reach out to them saying, hey, I want you to know, I want to do this for you. I can give you this. That's when they start noticing this, because it's a relief for them saying, wow, someone wants to give me something for a change. So, and they notice those things. And when you start reaching out to them, you want to help them. And that's when you develop that friendship with them. They're very much more likely to take you under their wings. So I think it's very beautiful. That's something for everyone to learn from what Elceid just did. He gave to people. He gave to leaders. He gave to people who weren't leaders. He reached out to David, who wasn't even in his upline, but he reached out to him, and as a result, he's been mentoring you for the past 3 years. So you never know. Just reach out to people, offer them something. Just offer them something. Anything. Even if it's a tiny little thing, they will notice, because 98% of their emails, their messages are like, help me, help me, help me, help me. When you say like, I want to help you, they're like, they take notice. So that's some really great stuff here. So yeah, so relationships are huge, people. Most people do. Every successful person in network marketing is built relationship. They give a hell of a lot more than they give back, because they believe that the more you give, it will come back to you, as you were talking about, LC. You give a lot of value, you share, you help a lot of people, it just seems to come back to you. The more that you give, it's like what Zig Ziglar said, you can have everything in life that you want if you help enough people get what they want in life. So the more you focus on giving, or as Bob Burke talks about in The Go-Giver, that guy, he was a go-getter, which was good, but it wasn't enough because he was selfishly doing things. Once he changed his go-getting focus to being a go-getter and a go-giver, the more he gave, that's when he became really successful, because he was focused on giving. So that's some really great stuff there. So I would like you to just share, you've shared some really good stuff here, but people getting started in network marketing who maybe they've been doing it 3, 4, 5 months, and they're struggling, and they're saying, I like the industry, I like my company, I like the products, I really believe in the company, but I just can't see how I could become successful. What would you recommend they start doing right now to start becoming successful in their business?
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on auditing who you're spending your time with, because when you start to do something different to what society's norm is, or what the cultural norm is, and you go back to the same circle that you were making $2,000 a month with, or $1,000 a month with, or you unemployed with, they're gonna hold you back. And I'm big on, man, Victor, this is a law that I practice for as long as I can remember now, ever since I got into personal development. It's the law of limited association. And it's really understanding and becoming aware of how long you can spend some time with people before your energy is impacted in a negative way. See, because there's some people that you can spend 5 minutes with, but you can't spend an hour with. There's going to be some people that you can spend an hour with, but that you won't be able to spend a day with them. And there's going to be some people that you can spend a day with, but then you won't be able to go on a holiday with them. And you got to be real consciously aware of who you're spending your time with. Do these people make me feel good? Are they supporting me? Are they understanding of where is that I want to be headed in my life? Are they providing value into my life, or is it just a neutral friendship or relationship where I'm not providing value and they're not providing value to my life as well? Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's really having that conscious interrupt of being an auditing of who you're associating with. Because bro, when I got serious about my business, maybe I limited my association with even my parents. I mean, even to this day, I don't think there's the longest that I can spend maybe with my dad is an hour now. Back in the day, it was like 5 to 10 minutes. But But, with some of my friends as well, I can't go on holiday with some friends, but I can spend maybe 2 hours or 3 hours with them because, maybe we can go play some sport. Maybe we can go and do something fun together. But then I got to come back and get myself in the environment of success. I got to come back and get myself in the environment where the right information is going to come into my life. But if you've been in the industry for a couple of months or a couple of years and you don't have success and you've lost that hope, you got to go and get that into that environment of success, because when you see other successful people, their energy rubs off on you. So that would be my number one thing. Is environment of success, practice the law of limited association. Then number 3 is connect with a why. Really emotionally connect with the why and a desire. What's going to be that desire for the next 90 days or for the next 30 days, or however long that you can think. I would recommend the longest for new people, 90 days. What's going to be that goal for 90 days for you and your business and your family and your dreams and your aspirations? What rank are you going to be? And you got to get really specific. You can't just know, hey, I'm going to be a diamond. Okay, how much do diamonds make? How much volume do they do a month? How many people in your team do you have to help get to a core rank in your company in order for you to become a diamond? Because if you just focus on your own goal, you're going to think that you have to do all the work, which is not the truth. Okay? The way you set goals in network marketing is, or the way you get to your rank in network marketing is, let's say your goal is to get to $2,000 a month. Well, usually in any compensation plans, you've probably got maybe 4 to 5 people that make $500 a month in your team for you to be making, $2,000 a month. So you just got to go and identify 4 to 5 people that want to make an extra $500 a month, that are going to be committed, that are going to be serious, that are going to run this thing with you for the next 90 days in order for you to get to your goal. And now that becomes your message in your prospecting, So that's what I would say. It's number 1, really go out there and practice the law of environment. Number 2, law of limited association. 3, connect with a why, a real desire, whether it's for the next 30 days or I would recommend 90 days. Give yourself some time to grow. Give yourself some time to personally grow here, to personally grow in your skill set. And then if you do the work, I can tell you 90 days can change your business and your life.
All right, so that's some good stuff there. So 90 days you could change your life. So I think that'll give some hope to people. Number 1, who you're hanging out with. Surround yourself with successful people. Limit your time with certain people. I try to limit myself with very negative people because I know negative people, I just find energy draining. There's certain people I hang out with, I feel very tired after a couple hours with them. So I agree with you. Certain people, you really have to limit your time. Like you said, some people you can spend an hour with, some you can spend a few hours with, some a day. So it varies on the person. But I try to be around people who are gonna, I feel so energized when I'm with them. And I think that's one great thing about being around successful people. You feel very energetic about it. You feel so motivated to do things. So I think that's very important. Like Jim Rohn talks about, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Are these people adding to your life or they're taking away from you? Maybe you need to change some of your friends. I think with some people, they definitely do. Because you change your friends, you'll change your environment, you will change your life. And I like that 90-day goal, the why. And yeah, like you said, people say, I want to be a ruby, I want to be a diamond. Well, what does it need? What does it take? Like you said, if you're gonna make $10,000 a month, well, you help 4 or 5 people get $2,000 a month, you'll get that $10,000 a month. Again, the focus has to be not just on yourself, but on helping other people. The more people you help succeed, the more you will succeed as well. That's what the big earners do. They focus on helping more and more people. And that's the great thing about network marketing. You can only succeed by helping other people succeed. So if you don't help other people, you only focus on yourself, you will never succeed.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. And that's golden nuggets there.
No, absolutely. So are there other things you recommend for people? There are certain morning routines, daily method operations, like maybe you want to share something like what you do, how you go through your day. So maybe might give some people an idea, like maybe this is what I'm not doing in the morning.
Yeah, morning routines, it's really trial and error for people. And here's what I mean, because what works for me, man, it's not going to be essentially that what works for somebody else. People's brains, their body is conditioned completely different to somebody else's. So you got to go and find rituals and routines that you're going to actually commit to. So, when I wake up in the morning, the very first thing that I do, Victor, is I do a quick prayer. I just say, I thank you, God, for allowing me and my family all around the world to open our eyes with life, with breath, and with your grace and love and cover on our lives. Then the very second thing that I do is I make my bed. You know, I want to start that chain of success straight away. I want to create that ripple of success straight away. You know, making my bed is a big success for me because back in the day, I never used to make it. So I want to start my days with success. Then the very third thing, and the next few stuff, it's never in the same order because I'm a very free-spirited person. If I feel like I have to stick to a certain like order of schedule, I feel like I'm back at a job or I'm back at school, and I never liked school and I never liked being in a job. So you know, I always do these other activities that I'm going to share with you right in part of my morning routine. I meditate. I do a gratitude journal. 3 things that are currently present in my life that I'm grateful for. The next 7 is things that I've received in the spirit, but manifesting in my physical now, currently. And then that usually it takes me about 20 to 30 minutes, and here's why. Because I really allow myself to feel the emotion. Because when you're grateful, if you leave your gratitude journal in the same energy space that you entered into it, you didn't do a gratitude journal. You just wrote things down. Gratitude is an energy. It's a feeling. So you got to come out with a higher energy level of. I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. Higher level of energy when you finish your gratitude journal. Then what I do is I write my goals down 4 times. I write it down twice with my dominant hand, which is my right hand. Then I write it twice with my less dominant hand because to impact my subconscious mind, right? And then I go into the mirror, man. I go into the toilet, into the mirror. I look at myself right in my eye for 5 minutes straight. I affirm my goal, the specific goal that I have right now for my business for this year. And then after that, I get straight into my IPAs, my income producing activities, because if I don't get attacked that in the day, then you know it's right at the beginning of the day, then I'm gonna be hit with my team. I'm gonna be hit with my family. I'm gonna be hit with different stuff that I gotta do later on in the day, and I won't be able to be as effective as it. So I want to get what matters most straight away done after my morning routine, after I've only poured into myself. Your morning routine is the real philosophy behind it, is for you to be able to to pour into your mind, to pour into your body. So I've started exercising again. And then also now you can go out there and pour into the world. That's really the philosophy of a morning routine. Because what happens is most of us, we go out to the world and we try and fill the world from our empty cup. And you can't fill from an empty cup. So that's why I tell people, you gotta know, you just gotta trial and error of what makes you feel really good. What allows you to get into a real mental state, allows you to really have a very, allows you to really get into into the zone. In my organization, I call it the zone. To really allow you to get to the zone. So when you go and do the prospecting, so when you go and do the presenting, so when you go and do the promoting, when you go and do the training, you're going to do it so effectively because you've poured into your mind, your body, and your spirit. So that's really the philosophy of morning routines. And the DMOs, man, I do prospecting, presenting, and promoting. It's really what I do. But to be more specific, here's what I do. I add usually 10 to 15 new people on my Facebook that have accepted my request. So I don't end the day till I have 10 to 15 new friendship requests on my Facebook. And how many people I have to actually send out friend requests to, I don't know. I just want 10 to 15 new friends. And as they actually accept my request, I get a notification on my phone. And what I do is I have a list. I have a physical list. I add their list. I add their names to my list because I want to track the relationships that I'm going to build. I'm very intentional about relationship building, about my prospecting, about my business, right? So I want to track how many relationships that I'm building on a day-to-day basis. Then I follow a certain number of people on Instagram as well that follow me back. So it's about 10 to 15 as well. People that I follow and they follow me back on the same day. And then what I do is I reach out to people, I reach out to people, I make invitations, I do follow-up, I do 2 types of follow-ups, Victor. One for relationship building and giving value, and another for my business. And then, the other stuff is it's presentations, it's promoting, it's trainings, it's personal development. I don't listen to music. I've cut that out of my life because I'm not going to allow my brain to be fed with nonsense when I don't want a nonsense life. I want to feed my brain with information that's going to make me something, that's going to make me 8 figures, that's going to make me, whatever income that I want. I want to set the navigational system of my life, which is my mind, into the location, into the final destination that I want. So I can only program my mind to only look. I'm getting a little bit more deep into this. This is where the reticular activating system comes in. I'm only feeding my mind and programming it in a way so that it's only spotting out information, only spotting out people, opportunities that are going to be real in alignment with the goal that I have for 2021. And I'm just fanatical about that. So you can see on my screen here, right, on the back here, I have my goals in my room, right? The watch that I want, the bracelet that I want, the back office. I edited my back office. I got a design to edit my back office to reflect the numbers that I want. That's for the goal that I have for 2021. So it's like, it's really like fanatical. I got pictures up on that side of my room. On my phone, I'm gonna show you here. My phone, it's my goal. So it's like I'm continuously subconsciously impacting my mind with where is that I want to be. So right on my desk here, the watch that I want. So it's like, it's really just setting that environment success for myself. And that's part of my DMO, so that's what I would say. But to really simplify it down, have a morning routine that fills your cup. Then you got to go out there and do 3 things: prospecting, presenting, and promoting. Don't go to bed without doing something that moves the needle forward in your own personal growth, in somebody else's personal growth, and in your business. That's the philosophy that I have.
Now that was some awesome stuff right there. So like you said, choose a DMO, but something that's to your liking. So you want something that's to fill you up, bodily, emotionally, spiritually, and subconscious. And I like the focus on the subconscious, especially getting started in the morning, because that your subconscious is in that theta state. It's very impressionable. So you start out with the prayer to God. You do meditation. I love meditation. It's helped me come up with some creative ideas. And a lot of people may not notice, but Tim Ferriss of the 4-Hour Workweek fame, he did a survey of I think like 140 people who were the top of their professions or field. And when he looked at the answers of what they did, 90% of them did some form of meditation or morning mindfulness. They said it really helped them out with their day. And I love the gratitude thing. Like, I think almost every successful person I've ever spoken to talks about, I start up every morning with my gratitude. Like you said, you have to feel it emotionally. You have to have that feeling. Then it's like, you're having true gratitude. And when you're grateful for things, you really, I find you have a lot more abundance in your life because you're focusing on the things that you have. When you focus on the things that you don't have, you tend to develop an attitude of lack. So I really love some of those things that you do in the morning routine. And also starting off, making your bed. That's one successful thing you already done when you first get up. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. If you ever want more in your life, gratitude is that seed for more. So in order for me to get more, I must first really appreciate and be grateful for what is I currently have in my life. But then more importantly, I must be grateful for what it is that I want in the present state. So let's just say my goal is to be healthy. Well, I gotta feel healthy. I gotta be healthy before I become healthy. If my goal is to become, wealthy, right? I gotta be wealthy. I gotta feel wealthy. I gotta be wealthy before I become it. And being doesn't mean you go and buy a car or a house that's out of your budget. Being is a state of mind. It's the way that you operate your life. And here's what I mean. Being means that when you choose to have a goal of being wealthy, now when you start to be it, it means that you don't speak poor, you don't speak lack, you don't speak seeds or weeds of that are not going to bring you that financial blessing that you want in your life. So being is about speaking, writing, feeling, and acting like that person that's going to attract that wealth, or attract that health, or attract that relationship, or attract whatever it is that you want. So I don't want people to misconstrue or take my comments and then go and buy a car, that's completely out of their financial budget. It's not about that. Successful people make very smart financial decisions. They don't buy things that they can't afford. They're not reckless with their money. They don't go and spend money that they don't have, right? So when you start to be that person, you're going to start making financial decisions that's going to grow your wealth rather than, decrease your wealth, right? That's what I wanted to just add on to that real quick, because it's important. And once you're able to be grateful for it and be in real gratitude for it in the present state, now you're giving the energy of wealth. Now you're giving the energy of health. Now you're giving the energy of, hey, I want a relationship. And then the universe conspires to get all the events that you need for it to happen in your life.
And that's a very important point you made there, because number one, like you said, a lot of people before they became millionaires, they started feeling and acting like millionaires. Like you say, you don't have to spend money, buy a house that with money you don't have, but you can feel, you can act that way. You know what? You keep feeling and act that way. It's called acting as if. After a while, you start really believing, because it sinks into your subconscious mind. And people notice that you do tend to give up this energy and vibes. People can tell when you feel good about yourself, you feel confident, you believe in yourself, or whether you don't believe in yourself, you're timid, you lack confidence. People can just sense that in you. So when you start acting as if you're successful, and you feel it every single day, eventually it's going to start seeping into the subconscious. You will start believing in it. So yeah, and gratitude is a great way of doing that. Being grateful for the things that you have. One of my mentors, Jack Canfield, in one of his events, he had us do what was called a rampage of appreciation exercise. It was a gratitude exercise. So every little thing that we at the hotel we were at, we noticed we were grateful for. We were grateful for the floor that we have, for the chairs we had to sit on, for the carpeting that we have, for the fact we had bathrooms we could go to when we needed to go to the bathroom, for the fact we had electricity. 100 years ago, people didn't have electricity. So a lot of things we take for granted. In that exercise for 15 minutes, he says, look around and see what you can find that you're grateful for that you have already. So there were a lot of little things in that room, which we just kind of like just walk by and not notice, but when you really take the time to notice, there are a lot of things to be grateful for, and it really changes your mindset and belief in things. It makes you realize you have a lot more to be grateful for, and you really do develop more of that attitude of abundance. So that was a very good point you made. And the other things, I like the fact you write your goals several times, twice with your dominant hand and twice with your less dominant hand, so it'll sink into your subconscious more. So I found that a very powerful exercise. I know Grant Cardone writes his goals, I think, like 3 times a day or something. So I just find a lot of successful people, not only do they look and review their goals, they just write their goals. And I like your 3 Ps. Prospecting, what was it? Prospecting, presenting, and promoting. So you're doing that every single day. And like you said, you do your income producing activities earlier on in the day, because you said life gets in the way. You have to talk to your team. Other things happen, time with your family. Also, you have less energy at the end of the day. 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, you don't have as much energy as you do 11 o'clock in the morning. So almost every successful person that I have ever met, they all do their IPAs, their income producing activities earlier on in the day, because they say you need to get that out of the way, because you think you can do it at 7 o'clock in the evening. Life gets in the way, something may happen. Maybe your kid gets sick, you got to spend the evening taking care of your kids. So always do it early in the morning. So yeah, everyone, you should always have some sort of daily method operation. Elceid gave you some great tips that you can copy some of the things he did. You can make little tweaks along the way. Everyone has their own DMO, so it can be a little different from you, but you got to have something in there. So make sure you're doing it and be consistent with it. Show up every single day. Because I think you mentioned earlier before, because one day you don't do it, that's one day less you can be successful in your business. And you take a lot of days off, you don't get that compound effect, because it builds up. The more consistent you are every single day, you got to do it day in and day out. And I love the fact you're doing personal development. You don't listen to music. You know, I love music, but over the last 3 years, I don't listen to as much as I used to, because I'm like you. I want to feed myself with as much positive motivational stuff that can help me with my personal development, help me with my business, help me with my belief system. Because here's the thing, our mind to me, our mind is like a garden. You don't have to do anything for weeds to grow in the garden. You have to take care of, water it, and mow the lawn and all that stuff. So to prevent the weeds, you have to do work on it. Same thing with your mind. You don't have to do anything for negativity to hit it, but to have a positive, strong belief, you have to work on it day in and day out. You got to feed it every single day, because if you don't, somehow negativity seems to seep into it. So, and I think that's what you're doing with your personal development. You're working on it day in and day out. So you're trying to prevent as much negativity as possible, because that's going to the more negativity that hits you, the longer it's going to take for you to get that goal to be an 8, 9, and 9-figure earner. So you're doing everything you can to build yourself. You're being consistent. You're feeding your mind. And I think, and I can just see it. I know I listen to you on Clubhouse. I'll be honest with you. You're 24 years old. You've been doing this 6 or 7 years. when I listen to you, it sounds like you've been in the industry 20, 25 years when I hear some of the stuff that comes out of your mouth, because you sound like a guy who's been building for like 20, 25 years. There's a lot of stuff. So I know you've been putting in the time and the effort. I know you've learned a lot from your mentors, and I could see you've been implementing all the things that they told you to do, because I hear it in the advice, the one, not just what you share on Close, but I hear it in the device you're sharing here with all of us, because you practice what you preach, because I see it, because I see the things that you share with people. It's very obvious. You're extremely knowledgeable of the entire industry, and you give a lot of great advice. And that came from putting in the time and the effort day in and day out. And that DMO that you did, you're doing it every single day. And that compounds, because you're focused on you. Like I said, you have everything you were showing around your room. You have it on your wall, you have it there on your phone. So you see it every single day. So visualizing everything, looking at it, being reminded of your goals, what you want every single day, because you want it to hit your subconscious mind. Because of that, you're going to hit your goals. So I think that's a great example for everyone. The things you want, put pictures all around. Put it on your phone, put it on your screensaver, so you can be reminded of it day in and day out. I know some people, they have it on their ceilings, and then when they wake up, that's the first thing that they see is the goals that they want. So I think that's some really great stuff here. So awesome stuff there.
Awesome. I appreciate it, man. It's funny you mentioned the ceiling. Right on the top of my bed, I have a check that I've written down for myself. So when I wake up, I see it straight away.
Yeah, see? Elceid has a check he looks at every single morning he gets, it reminds him of his goals. So Jim Carrey, the actor, when he was a struggling actor, I think he wrote a check for himself for $20 million. And the note said for acting services rendered. And like 5 years later, I forget which one, it was Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber. He got $20 million to make that film. But you know what he does? He was looking at that check every single day. He'd take it out of his wallet. He would look at it, I guess, several times a day. And again, it's saved into his mind, and his subconscious mind found a way for him to make that money. So the subconscious mind is so strong. People don't realize that it's like 90 to 95% of the decisions you make is from your subconscious. And so the more you feed your subconscious mind, the more creative is going to come up with ways to get you that success that you want. But here's the thing, it doesn't judge. It just takes what you feed it. So you feed it garbage, garbage is going to come out. If you feed it great stuff's going to come out. So it just has to be considered. So LC has given us some great stuff over here. So do you have any last minute wisdom here to share with our audience? Because I know you have some great stuff here. What are some other things they may want to do? Go ahead.
I appreciate you this has been a great conversation. I've done a few interviews with, different people over the years, but this has been one of my favorite ones to do with you. To end it off, man, I would say, if you want long-term success, you're going to have to do the inner work, because if you do the outer work, yeah, you can get short-term success. But I remember asking Bob Proctor. I met Bob Proctor February of 2020 last year at an event, right before the coronavirus, situation and all that good stuff happened. And what happened was I met him. I remember asking him, "Hey, Bob, I can't remember what the right question I asked him. I said, what is the difference maker between somebody that has short-term success and long-term success?" And he looks at me right in the eyes, Victor, and he says, "Elceid, the best success insurance policy that you'll ever have is your self-image and what you truly, in your heart of hearts, believe about yourself." And when he told me that, I had been already studying psychocybernetics, the book Psychocybernetics by Maxwell Waltz. I had been studying The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Mercy, The Magic of Believing by, I believe it's David Schwartz who wrote that book. So when he said that to me, it all clicked. It just clicked for me. And I can tell you, man, ever since last year, I was working with the inner world before, but ever since that February of 2020, I just went all in on working on my inner world. That's why I developed the habits of morning routines. That's why I read, if there's one thing that you want to do on a daily basis, it's really study Napoleon Hill's work. Really read, I would recommend any book, but the book to start with is Outwitting the Devil Within You by Napoleon Hill. And then I would go to The Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. And then I would read I literally got every single one of his, the ones that he actually wrote, because, his foundation, they write books on half an hour. But the ones that he actually wrote, I have all of them, which were the ones that I released. And I study him every single day. And that's something that I'm going to continuously study every single day. So I can tell you, man, it's just if there's one thing that you want, if you really want long-term success, here's what you do. There's 6 steps to goal setting, and I'm gonna give it to you in about 2 minutes and less. The very first step is really identify that goal, identify that desire. What is that goal going to be for you? You know, what is that goal? What is that desire? And emotionally connect yourself to it, because it doesn't matter if there's 2 roads, Victor, that people can take in life. Only 2. One road is the life of conformity to society's norms, conformity to what other people think that they should do, conformity to how 98% of the world are living. And on that road, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be challenges of financially. There's going to be challenges of personal. There's going to be challenges of all types of things. The second road leads you to the life of your dreams. This is going to lead you to every single thing that you want and desire in your life. And on that road as well, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have financial issues probably as well. You're going to have relationship issues. You're going to have personal issues. So on both roads of life, you're going to have challenges. Do you want to take on the challenges that lead you to a life of conformity and of lack and of just unfulfillment? Or are you going to take the challenges? If you're going to face challenges, as my personal opinion, you want to face the challenges that lead you to exactly how you envision your life to be, to how you want your relationships to be, how you want your income to be, how you want to be living your life. Because if I'm going to have challenges in my life, I want to take this road. I want to take the road that leads me to my desires, that leads me to my inner visions, and I believe your visions are gifted to you by God. So, so that's what I believe. So the first step is really identifying that why, identifying that goal. Then the second step is you've got to have a day of completion. You've got to have that day of completion where you have that time where you say, I'm going to do it by this date. Because the universe, and it doesn't respond to generic affirmations. It's not going to respond to generic asks. It's not going to, it doesn't respond. You need a real definite time, a day of completion. And here's what I want to say about the time. That time is just a measuring stick, okay? It's just a way for you to measure your habits, how intense that you have to go into your personal development, into your activity, into your prospecting, presenting, and promoting in our network marketing. But here's what you do. You give the effort, the effort's yours, but you leave the time that it actually takes to manifest into your physical reality to God. That day of completion is just a measuring stick for you to base your habits off. And if it doesn't happen by then, completely fine. Choose another day, but never change the goal. You change the day, but you never change the goal. Then the first step, man, is really identifying the obstacles. Well, and how do you identify those obstacles? Well, what stopped you up to this point of your life achieving your goals, going forward in your business? Is it fears? Is it lack of belief? Is it inconsistency? Is it the people that you're around? Is it that you're not reading books? Is it that you're not investing in yourself? Is it that you don't have a goal? Is it that you don't really have a specific goal that you're working towards? So you identify the obstacles. Why? Because in order for you to defeat the enemy, you're going to have to identify what the enemy is. And the enemy is you. It's not your team. It's not your upline. It's not your company. It's not your products and services. It's you. It's your lack of belief. It's your lack of consistency. It's your lack of self-confidence in yourself. That's your enemy. Okay, so you identify what your enemy is. And the fourth is you identify the people that you're going to work with. Who is it that I'm going to work with? Do I have a team that I can work with right now? If not, completely fine. Well, I have a team in my upline that I can work with, right? If I don't have a team in my team, my personal team, I have a team in my leadership that I can work with. And now what I do is I identify a running partner, a running buddy that I'm going to stay accountable to if I don't have a team. Okay, so that person that you stay accountable to, you check in with them every single Sunday to let them know, hey, this is what I did from an activity standpoint. This was my ratio of prospecting to invitations. This was my ratio of invitations to show-ups to closing. Now what you're giving your accountability partner is you're giving them the tools to train you effectively on the areas that you need training on. Most of us, we get general training that doesn't help us. General practitioners, okay, you know, the GPs and the doctors, they can only help you to a certain point. Once they can't help you no more, for them to really identify the real cause of the problem in your body, in your immune system, they send you to a specialized doctor. The specialized doctor has to be in your company, has to be in your, hopefully in your leadership upline, if not in your company at least, so that they can really help you identify how you can utilize the compensation plan, how you can base your behaviors based on the compensation plan, and then help you on the stuff that I just helped you, that I just talked about. So you got to identify who you work with, and then if you do have a team, man, you got to identify who you're going to help get to a certain rank in your company for you to get to your goal, as I mentioned earlier on this call. And then you create an accountability system with them where they keep accountable with you every single week, just how you stay accountable to your group, to your accountability partner. And then the sixth step, man, is really identify what's the reward gonna be, okay? Because we only ever work out of pain or pleasure. So if I go and pay the price of identifying my goal, of choosing the day of completion, going and doing the inner work of eliminating the obstacles, and then going out there and identifying the people I'm going to work with, and I go out there and do the work, well then, if I'm going to pay that price, what reward am I going to get from my investment? What reward am I going to get to go out there and do all this work, to go and face my fears, to go and do the physical actions that I need to do to build my business? And then now that's what you visualize in your mind. So if, let's just say the goal is a new car, you better go and test drive that car. If it's a new house, you better go and test drive a house. You gotta go and experience that house. You gotta go and do a home visit, whether it's virtually through video. I know there's some, we all know what's going on in the world right now. Because due to the local restrictions, if you can't go physically, you go virtually. Real estate agents, they do that. They go and video call you whilst they're at the home. And you might be listening to me and saying, well, I don't have the money to do that. I don't have the money to call them. They're not going to ask you for a credit check for you to go see the house or to go see the car. They don't know what's in your bank account. Only you know that, right? What you need to do is experience wealth if your goal is wealth. If you want to grow in your business, it's usually because you want to experience wealth. You want to experience freedom. For you to have a craving for wealth, for you to have a craving for freedom, you're going to need to know how it tastes like. You're going to need to know how it feels. Okay, so and this is why it's so important. Victor, could you have a craving for something that you haven't experienced? Could you have a craving for chocolate pudding if you've never had chocolate pudding?
Yeah, it's hard because I've never tasted it. So
right,
yeah.
But once you've tasted it,
yeah, it's hard.
And you like it,
I want more.
Right. So that's why
I want to have it again. Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to go and experience it, identify that reward, that specific reward. And it could be multiple things, right? Helping your family out, whatever the case may be, and then going out there in any way possible, experiencing it, feeling it, visualizing it, being it until you become it. And then I'll give you one extra step. Seventh step is never, ever, ever quit. My first 3.5 years, completely from a financial standpoint, it was a total no success, right? I don't like using the word failure. It was just no success. But never quit. Just know that if you do those steps and you work on yourself, you work on your skill set every single day, and you work on your business by doing the actual work, within time, I don't know when that time is going to be for you. Within time, it's going to happen. But Victor, I appreciate you for asking me to be on this. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and hopefully, within the next couple of months, we can actually meet because I'll be in the US soon.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, if we could definitely meet up, that'd be great. Because I'd love to meet up with you one of these days, meet you in person. Yeah, I've had a great time having you on the show. It's been a really fun time. I've learned a lot. I know a lot of people learn a lot. Those goals, talking about setting those goals, experiencing the reward, realizing you're going to have challenges. So one's going to lead you to lack. The other one's going to lead you to the kind of like your vision. So you're going to deal with challenges anyway. Why not choose the one that's going to get you the kind of life that you want? So I like the way you broke that all down. And of course, the very end, never give up. Don't give up. You went through struggle for 3.5 years, but you were building that solid foundation. And because of that, you have this lifestyle which you're really enjoying. You're developing. It's becoming more and more fun each and every day. And of course, experience the rewards, like you just said. because you could experience, you could taste it, you're going to want more of it. And your last example made me very hungry, so I'm going to get some food after this interview. So I love to eat. But no, that was some great stuff. Thank you so much, Elceid. Always great hearing you, being with you. I just love all the value you share with us. I know our audience got a lot of value out of everything you share. Was a lot of great wisdom in what you shared. And before I let you go, my friend, if people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to contact you?
You know, on all social media platforms, well, Instagram and Facebook is only what I use. It's just my name. It's Elceid Ata. It's, you know, I'm sure you've tagged me on Facebook, so that's how people can really just tune into my content. But you know, that's it, man. I don't really have any of these fancy other stuff that currently, but we are in the process of building a website, so then now we can get more information out to people. But super excited for that.
All right, great. Well, thanks again for being on this show. Really appreciate it. It was really fun spending this past hour with you. I'll say, have yourself an amazing day, my friend. God bless.
All right, my man. Take care.
Bye-bye.